The floor.
Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. We have a larger than normal crowd here this evening. I can't think why. But what we're here tonight for is that we had a near tragedy on June 25th, 2024. And through the actions of some bystanders and from one of our officers and a dispatcher, the tragedy was averted. And we would like to recognize those folks tonight. So if I could have Officer Matthew Martinez come up, Dispatcher Haley Furtick, Achilles Gates, Latoya Stringer, and Chase Baker. These folks really exemplify what our city is all about. They took the time, they recognized something was happening, and they took definitive action to make sure that a tragedy was averted. And I want to say the administration and residents of the city of Streetsboro extend their appreciation to Officer Matthew Martinez, Dispatcher Harley Furtick, Achilles Gates, Latoya Stringer, and Chase Baker for saving the life of a drowning victim. Whereas on the evening of Wednesday, June 25th, 2024, a 10-year-old girl was playing in a community pool with adults and children nearby, doing handstands underwater while holding on to the edge of the pool. At some point, she accidentally pushed herself off the edge she had been holding and quietly slipped underwater, where she remained for 4.5 minutes. And whereas 13-year-old Achilles Gates pulled her out of the water, child's mother and 2 Streetsboro residents, Latoya Stringer and 16-year-old Chase Baker, then began CPR. And it was so good that you guys knew how to do CPR. It's something that we've really put a lot of emphasis on and everywhere, put a lot of emphasis on teach the community CPR. Here's a situation where it just made all the difference in the world. Whereas at 7:43 p.m., Streetsboro Dispatch received a 911 call reporting a young female had been found underwater at a community pool in the 700 block of Frost Road. Dispatcher Haley Furtick immediately paged the Streetsboro Fire Department and simultaneously broadcast the call to patrol officers, which shortened the response time for Officer Matthew Martinez, who arrived on scene. And whereas Officer Martinez took over CPR and life-saving measures, the girl began taking deep breaths, but remained mostly unresponsive while Officer Martinez moved into a recovery position on her side. And whereas the fire department then arrived and the girl was immediately transported to the hospital, then life-flighted to Akron Children's Hospital. And whereas because of the decisive actions of all the individuals involved that day, the little girl went on to make a full recovery. Now, therefore, I, Glenn Ambrosca, Mayor of the City of Streetsboro, express my appreciation to Officer Matthew Martinez, Dispatcher Haley Furtick, Achilles Gates, Latoya Stringer, and Chase Baker for their quick and self-effective efforts on Wednesday, June 25th, 2024, which saved the life of a little girl. Congratulations. In days not too long ago, that person probably would not survive, but because you guys were active and reactive appropriately, and you knew the right thing to do, and the dispatcher knew to get the FD going. And Matt, we made it to the scene real quick. I mean, here we have a situation where it had a very, very positive outcome. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all of you. Congratulations. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mayor, can we get a picture? Can you guys turn around for a picture? Thank you.
Another round of applause for you guys. Thank you so much. We're going to move on with the rest of our,
Good job.
folks are welcome to stay.
Why are we going?
Kid actor, so, right, that's figure to go ahead and take the lead. Thank you so much for coming.
Just before.
Mr. Yanish is here. I'm looking at own nuts.
Is that you before the person? Who's on?
Mr. Yanish is here, so we can appoint him.
I think you're the first one on the agenda. After the public hearing. Before the public hearing, then you're
Yeah.
the first. The mayor wants to.
Regular council. Recess council and then go back to you.
Okay, so I'll have to think for a while.
Or his appointment.
Yeah. After the public hearings, right?
Right.
After.
Yeah.
Got a couple appointments. Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Can we get through the public hearings first? They're scheduled
Regular.
at 7.
After public hearings and
Right.
before, say.
Right. I wouldn't do service. I'd just go right to council.
Yeah, we'll go right to council and then we'll recess out of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'd like to call this public hearing of Monday, August 12th, 2024 to order. The invocation and pledge, Lisa would lead us in the invocation, and Glenn, if you would lead us in the.
Certainly.
Heavenly Father, I thank you tonight for your protection. Lord, I thank you for the gift of life, for the very tangible protection that we have witnessed in Streetsboro among our residents, Lord, and even in this past week with managing to avoid terrible weather that other communities had to deal with. I thank you, Lord. I know that your hand is upon our city, and I thank you for the blessings that you give us. I pray that tonight you would guide our thoughts and our words and our decisions, and I pray that you just continue to protect the city of Streetsboro. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Here.
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 Mr. Ring?
Here.
Mr. Getchia?
Here. Item 4, there's a single item on this public hearing agenda, and that is the agricultural placement renewal request of Karen Klein and Robert Huff at 1200 Kennedy Road and Ferguson Road, Streetsboro, Ohio, consisting of 77.93 acres. At this time, if there is any discussion, whether it be with council or the public, this would be the time to come forward on that single issue. Again, it's the agricultural placement renewal request of Karen Klein and Robert Huff, and they live at 1200 Kennedy Road and Ferguson Road, 77.93 acres. Is there any public discussion? Any discussion from the administration or council?
No discussion. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
First and a second to adjourn this public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That meeting is adjourned. Moving on to the second public hearing that's on the schedule tonight, for Monday, August 12th, 2024. We'll call this meeting to order, and for purposes of record keeping, we have to take an additional roll call for this public hearing. So if you would do roll call, please.
Mr. Hannon.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Ms. Wagner.
Here.
Ms. McDaniel. Present. Ms. Glenn. Here. Mr. Ring.
Here.
Mr. Bishop.
Here. This single item is item 3, and up for public hearing and discussion is T7631, amend code sections 1165, site development regulations. T7631, amend code section 1165, site development regulations. Is there any public discussion or questions or comment on this single item on the public hearing agenda? Anything from the administration or council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
First and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. All right, we are going to go, because the mayor has a single appointment, we're going to quickly go into regular council, make the appointment, and then I'll ask for some motions to recess back out of council into safety and service, or service and safety. Which order are we going in? All right, I'd like to call this regular council meeting of Monday, August 12th, 2024 to order. We need another roll call, please.
Okay. Mr. Hannon.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Ms. Wagner.
Here.
Ms. McDaniel. Ms. Glenn. Here. Mr. Ring.
Here.
Here, I'm going to move item 11 to the top of the agenda, and that is the mayor's report, specifically the appointments to the PRCAC. Mr. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mishniak. Joe, you want to step up? Joe Yanish has expressed a desire to serve on PERCAC representing Ward 1, and many of you know Joe. He's been a very long-time resident, and he has expressed an ongoing desire to be more involved with the city. I think he is very well qualified to become a member of PERCAC, and if you have any questions of him, please do. If not, I would ask the council confirm the appointment of Joe Yanish to PERCAC Ward 1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any discussion from council or questions for Mr. Yanish? Thank you, Mr. Yanish, for volunteering. We appreciate your service.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, seeing no questions, I'm going to entertain a motion to confirm the appointment of Joseph Yanish to the PRCAC.
So moved. Second.
First and a second. Do we need a roll call or do we do all in favor?
All in favor.
All in favor of the appointment? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none opposed. The appointment is accepted.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, I'll need a motion to recess out of regular council.
So moved. Second.
First and a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are recessed and we'll pick back up after the committee meetings.
I'd like to bring this safety committee meeting of Monday, August 12th to order.
Another roll call.
Somebody's. Mr. Hannon.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Here.
Ms. McDaniel.
Present.
Ms. Glenn. Here. Mr. Ring.
Here.
Here.
Item 3, disposition of minutes, regular safety committee meeting of June 10th, 2024.
Motion to accept is written.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes have been accepted. 4, old business, we have none. 5, new business. Motion to reschedule the November safety service and regular council meetings due to Veterans Day.
We're talking about November already.
Plan ahead so everybody knows what's coming.
It's coming up.
It's gonna be snowing soon. Are you looking at moving it up a week?
Can we take it to the 4th?
That's the night before the election.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Oh, boy.
Why?
It's the night of the election.
It's either 2 meetings, October 28th and then November 4th, or
Yeah,
the 18th and 25th of November.
I'm fine with either one, so that's me.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm okay with either. Anybody can't be at. Do the 4th then? Your meeting?
Yeah.
That's all.
I'll make that motion to reschedule the November Safety, Service, and regular council meetings due to the Veterans Day conflict to November 4th instead of November 11th.
Yeah.
Still at 7 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we will now schedule that meeting for November 4th at 7. Item B, T7639, purchase Jaws of Life, extrication equipment, Chief Reinholz.
Thank you. In your packet, a basic explanation. I'd like to replace one of our extrication equipments, the Jaws of Life. It consists of cutters, spreaders, and a ram to push the dash up. The one we have now is a hydraulic system. It's about 15 years old, and what we're going to be purchasing is battery operated. They finally have come into their own, the battery operated ones, to give me enough power. This doesn't have any hydraulic hoses or a power unit. That means we can take it right off the rig, not worry about starting it up. You're tethered to the power unit with the hydraulic hoses, so if we have a car that's off to the side or in a ditch, it makes it difficult. We have to position the power unit, which is on the pumper, close enough. With these tools, we can go just about anywhere, perform extrication. So we had, in the month of June, we brought in cars, 6 cars, and we tested out all 3 manufacturers' tools, basically the same battery-powered hydraulic tools, battery-powered cutters, spreaders, and our choice was the Genesis model, which was for $50,735. This was planned in our budget, our capital improvement budget. So the money's in the account of 402-125745, and I'm requesting permission to purchase a new set of extrication equipment.
Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. Chief, what's the difference? I mean, there's almost a $20,000 difference between the low bid and the middle bid, which is this one. What's the difference between the equipment? Is this stuff that much better? I mean, I can see the...
Well, here's with the Heritage, it's proprietary batteries.
I'm looking at the Atlantic, that was 33,000.
Okay.
As opposed to 50.
It's different batteries. The
Yeah,
Atlantic's at 9, looks like at 9 milliamps.
Well, it's proprietary as well. I mean, with the Genesis, we use Milwaukee batteries, which we'll be using with our regular tools. I learned with the Train HVAC system, it's proprietary, that there's no other HVAC company can come in and do any repairs on our HVAC system because they can't read the software. So I've been burned once for proprietary software. So with the Genesis, it provides Milwaukee batteries, which are commonplace. Our hand tools are Milwaukee. We have the interchangeability, plus the design, how the batteries are set into the spreaders and the cutters really work well. So we tried all of them, and the big turnoff was proprietary batteries, because you don't know what they're going to charge.
Right.
Whereas I get Milwaukee batteries at Home Depot, Lowe's. So that's the main reason why we went with that.
It looks like you're getting a lot less batteries too with that last quote. Now then, seeing where it's at, you're only getting 2 for each. This one you're getting 16 batteries. So.
And it's when we bought our air packs, we were debating between 2 companies, and the one company, the battery was only supposedly good for 10 years, and they were $3,000 a piece with 33 units. Then they extended the warranty for 15 years, which is the life of the pack. So all these little points, you got to be really careful that even though the bid may be low, you're going to be paying out later for these proprietary batteries or other options like that.
Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. We did the same thing where I work, and the batteries are all interchangeable with everything. And this system here worked great, so we did the same thing you're doing. So it's a good decision, and it'll work very well. That's all I wanted to add.
Anybody else have any questions?
There's no discussion. I'll make a motion to move that to tonight's full council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, moved to council. Item C, T7640, accept ACJS grant for hearing protection. Chief Wayne.
Earlier this year, I applied for hearing protection equipment for the officers. When I initially did it, they did not have any kind of price or specifics on what we were getting. Recently, we received in the mail 30 sound gear, instant sound, baffling hearing protection for the officers, and they came out with a retail price of $400 each, which took us to about $12,000 in donations for those. And then we also got an unexpected delivery of 3,600 batteries. So I'm not sure what that says about battery life for them, but the batteries are estimated. I just took a price off of Google or Amazon and got over $1,000 for those batteries as well. The hearing protection is designed for range use, but they're also good for any kind of festival or a louder noise event. They muffle the sound around, but keep it that you can still have conversation, so they should be pretty useful.
I just wanted to say great job. My sister is a hearing conservation audiologist, so when I saw this, I thought, yes! And I said, how do these sound? I asked her. She said, Soundgear's a great company, so good work. This is wonderful to have.
I was surprised when I saw the value, but very happy that we were able to get them for free.
It's wonderful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to send this to tonight's regular council.
All in favor?
Okay.
Opposed? Hearing none, that's moved to tonight's full council. Last item, T7641, purchase of modems for police cruisers. Mr. Cochran.
Good evening. Thank you. These are to replace all of the modems that we currently have in our cruisers. Recently, we've been having some dead spots, and just with troubleshooting with Verizon, we have kind of a mismatch of equipment that's in our cruisers right now. So the cradle point devices that I'm recommending, we have in our fire department vehicles, and they've worked great. They're highly recommended by Verizon as well. So we would like to replace all of the cruisers with the upgraded cradle point devices and upgraded antennas as well.
Mr. Ring.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. How old are the modems we have in there now?
It varies. Some of them are 5-6 years old. Some of them are a couple years old. We've been buying them just from Amazon as they aged out or we had issues with them. We would just get them from Amazon because they were cost effective.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question. The newer ones, do they have any value? Could we resell them, or are they just junk?
The old ones, you mean?
The old ones, right.
There's not really any value to them. We'll keep them just for emergencies if we have an issue with the cradle point. And it's 24-hour replacement on the cradle point devices, but we can put something in if we have to temporarily, just so that we have it. The ones that we're taking out are rather inexpensive, so there's not really any resale to them.
Okay, but that sounds like a good idea to keep them for backup.
Mr. Mayor?
And we did get 20% off because we ordered them all.
Correct.
All
right.
There's no further discussion. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Move to tonight's full council.
Thank you.
Thank you. 6, citizens' comments. Thank 7, announcements. A service committee meeting will immediately follow this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned.
I'd call the service committee meeting Monday, August 12th, 2024 to order. Caroline, would you please call roll?
Mr. Hand?
Here.
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 Item 3, disposition of minutes. Regular Service Committee meeting of June 10th, 2024, and Special Service Committee meeting of July 22nd, 2024.
I'll make a motion to accept and dispose of both sets of minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, those will be accepted. Item 4, old business. T 7612, amend code regarding nuisance properties, Mr. Bill Miller and Andre Nova.
John's got it.
We just need to schedule a third.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask if council would consider moving this item to the next service meeting. Working with Andre, kind of shifting gears a little bit, looking at some samples and want some time to do some more research before we schedule our next work session.
All right, I'll move to send this to the next regularly scheduled service committee meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
First and a second to move this to the next scheduled service committee meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that'll be moved. Thank you. Item,
Real quick, can you tell us the date on that, just for the people in the audience that may be here for that item?
It's August, so the service committee in September will be September 9.
And that would be just to schedule the next work session, not
Yeah.
for the next work session.
Gotcha.
okay.
So it might not be until it's going to be after.
Right.
Yeah.
For the
Okay.
people that are out there for that.
All right, thank you. T7630A, temporary moratorium on solar electrical generation facilities. Council and Mr. Chesnowski.
Yeah, I can take care of it. So I don't know if council has any discussion on this agenda item this evening. But in talking this morning at the staff meeting, I think it would make sense to consider, it sounded like council was on the fence about a moratorium in general, particularly as it related to this item. Because of that, I would ask council to consider removing this agenda item and just know that staff will start working on putting solar regulations together. I would welcome feedback directly from council members. It can be at a meeting or offline, just to educate what we put before council. But again, that's just something to consider based on the feedback or the input that council has provided when this was discussed in the past.
Okay, thank you for that. Any discussion from anyone? Council? Mr. Ray.
Thank you. So you just want to get rid of the moratorium altogether, including commercial or because I think our concern was just residential, right? Like private.
Yeah, I mean, and then there was some discussion on apprehension relative to moratorium in general. And, as members of council pointed out, this is not a hot and heavy topic that, needs the brakes put on. As we provided to you at the last meeting, there have been, 20 applications over 12 years or something like that. It has not been that many applications. I understand the concern that there are not regulations on the books, so we will start looking at this subject in earnest and provide regulations for council's consideration. Ultimately, obviously, as with most things, the decision rests with council, but I fully understand and hear what council said at the last meeting, and I'd like a motion to perhaps just direct staff to put the regulations together. But other than that, I think we can move forward without a moratorium if council's okay with it.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Well,
Is this like solar?
That would be one of the elements that would be addressed in the new regulations.
ma'am, could you step up to the podium, please? Thank you. And just state your name and address. Thank you.
client at 1200 Kennedy. We probably get 2 letters a week wanting to lease our property for solar farms. Just saying that you have only had 12 applications in, how many years? You need to address this. This is, they're out there and they're aggressive. Okay?
I think that's where my comment was going. Like, we were concerned with putting a moratorium on just residential. People who want their rooftop solar units for their house to help their bills.
Right.
I was always fine with a moratorium on commercial farms. Because we don't have regulation, what's to stop them? I'm like, that's where I'm at.
Thank you.
So that's where my comment was going.
I just wanted to throw that out there. If council would like to move forward with a moratorium, that takes the pressure off, so to speak. There's still pressure because it's not an open-ended thing, but I wanted to throw that out there for council to consider.
Ms. Glenn?
Thank you. I was under the understanding we were keeping the solar farm moratorium on, and it was just residential use that we were removing from the moratorium. So that's where I was on it.
Yeah. I think that's the direction we'd prefer. That'll give you a little breathing room, at least with the commercial stuff, and then
right.
And residential, we've only had 12 and 20 or whatever it is. So
yeah. Now keep in mind the property that she's speaking of is zoned RR. So what we need to make sure of is that it's clear what's covered under the moratorium and what's not.
Yeah.
That's obviously not in a commercial district.
But if someone leases the land, that would be a commercial use, right? So could we not? Because they're going to have to come for a permit for that.
I don't think the lease in and of itself changes the use.
No, but if they leased it to a corporation, it obviously wouldn't be because it
wouldn't be for
residential. We
use by the farmer farming the property.
Right. That's the point. That's where we have to specify it, because we said like if it's a developed residential lot with a primary residence, and that's the use that we're talking. So if we can define that in the use that's okay, then that will specify that you can't just take 30 acres of undeveloped land and throw a farm up, whatever. Right. Yeah. That's what I'd like to see. I don't know about the rest of the council.
I agree with Justin. That was the original intention anyway with this entire thing. This originated, with me bringing this up to both Mr. Chaskowski and the mayor over something that happened in Ritztown. So solar farms were the original intent, where you have a business who's generating power from a bunch of solar panels and selling it, and the residents are making money off the lease, but they are not the actual users of the energy that's being generated.
So I didn't review the ordinance that's in front of council. It sounds like it probably needs to be tweaked a little bit more. I did want to also mention, council had asked at the last meeting to see the building code related provisions relative to solar panels. So I talked with Dan and gave that information to Caroline. It has been included in your packet. It's right before, I think, the old ordinance. I don't know if the ordinance has been revised. The law department can speak to that, but
I believe last time Mrs. McDaniel had something she wanted to be included in kind of exempting areas from the residential, and I think that's the way council is going. I believe the last page in the packet has those provisions.
Draft I have in front of me has no building permits, site plan approvals, conditional use permits, zoning certificates, variances, or other land use regulatory approval shall be granted or issued for any homeowner, business, organization, endeavor, or land use wherein the proposed principal, conditional, or accessory use includes solar electric generation facilities, excepting 1, are for personal use located on the same parcel as the homeowner's dwelling and is in compliance with ordinance 1151. Sorry. 2, have acquired initial planning approval for development or construction on or before the effective date of this ordinance. 3, any solar or electric, is a major. So I think the only thing that needs to be modified there is just number 2, getting rid of that because.
Yeah, and there are none that have received planning commission approval.
Well, that's what I mean. I think if we get rid of number 2, this already exempts personal use located on the same parcel.
Yeah.
So if we get rid of number 2 where it said it had to be on before the effective date of the ordinance, then I think that would do exactly what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, I apologize, I didn't read what was in the packet in terms of the ordinance. It does look like the ordinance in the form that it's currently in the packet does match the suggested revision from Lisa. So it sounds to me like this would be in line with what council had been discussing.
Okay. Any more questions or discussion?
What do we do with it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to make motion to revise the draft that's in front of us and remove section 1, item, or subsection 2, I guess is what it would be called.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to remove section 1, item 2.
Yeah.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. And now we need a motion to move the amended.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes, go
chime in, and she has it kind of drawn in or penciled in here. It says accepting any uses that 1, 2, and 3. I think any uses that needs to be added if that's not in the ordinance already. Before the now two items that will be exempted.
Yeah, that's on here.
Is it? Okay.
It's in pencil.
Commentary, so I scribbled it in, but
Yeah.
none of that had been
Do we need that
voted
though?
on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes the list below read better.
Well, it makes the first one, but it doesn't make the third one. Accepting anywhere that any solar electric. I don't. Yeah.
And then it says and or here.
Yeah.
You just needed that language because it just was left out, that's all.
And make a motion to add that language officially.
I'll move to do that.
Second.
Okay. So we have a first and a second to remove that language? To add the language. Okay, all in favor to add the language?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? All right, so we have that amended. Now we need a motion to move the amended to tonight's full council
For second read.
or second read.
So moved.
No, we did first read 7, 8.
Then on 722, we discussed it and
Didn't we talk about if we
it's making up. No, I went back to keeping the same number because by charter, once something is recommended to council by planning commission, which this was, you have to go through 3 readings and have your third reading to accept or deny or accept as amended within 120 days of the first reading. So I didn't want to just,
it'll go as a
Make it
second
disappear.
read tonight?
Yeah.
I could do second read tonight as amended that you just motioned right now.
Make that motion as amended.
And second.
Consent.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second as amended to go to tonight's full council as second read. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? And we are done with that item. Still under old business, item C, update on new city logo T7642, adopt new city logo and guidelines. Mr. Meidinger.
Hi, everybody. So included in your packet is the City of Streetsboro logo and branding guide with the new logo attached. It does highlight some of the Importance of creating a standard use for the logo. It has the colors that will go used for the logo when recreating it for print materials, recreating it for digital images, and so on and so forth. Minimum size protections, areas protection around the logo so that it doesn't get bled into other items. It gives samples of business cards, samples of letterhead, and envelopes. We also have a sample department logo there with Parks and Recreation underneath it as well. So this would be the first step in kind of adopting the logo, and then we can create timelines of when things would slowly start to change over for the city. Any questions? I did bring Mr. Rick Schaefer here with Schaefer Branding, if there's any questions for him as well.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ring?
Thank you. I don't remember, I'm struggling with the word "the" on the logo. I've never seen a city put "the," so we're not the Ohio State University, the city of Streetsboro. It throws me off and I don't think it belongs.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. I mean, I don't think it looks good. I think the logo looks good. I just don't think the word "the" there makes sense to me. I've never seen a city on any logo put "the city of." It's usually just "city of."
Okay.
That's my feedback, at least for that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Meininger, has there been, when you put "the" there, was there any I'm just asking if there was any reason or if you had something behind it. That way we know if there
I think it was literally there on the other options that we had. So it stayed. I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason to the city of Streetsboro. It was, okay. I know you didn't like the version where it just said Streetsboro. I know when we took that out, you did not like that.
Yeah, I think the city of on there is important. I don't recall the being there, and if it was, I must have missed it. But when you sent this over, I looked at it and just said, I've never seen that on a logo where we call ourselves the.
Okay. Looking at, I think the spacing may be something that we'd have to kind of rearrange with Rick a little bit to see how that would work if we just slid city of over the spacing of it.
Yeah.
That might do something with the spacing. I don't know. That's the first time I don't remember it coming up before. I'd have to go back through my notes. I apologize.
I don't remember it coming up before either. When I saw this and with all the print and all the stuff and everywhere I looked, it just jumped out at me as.
Let me look back real quick to see if that's how it was presented.
I just found an email from April before we brought it to council that it had "the city of," but I think at that next meeting, we talked about taking "the" off of it.
Yeah.
Taking "the" off of that.
I don't remember. Yeah.
I remember we
All
talked.
the variations that we presented had "the" on it. So, I mean, doesn't matter. It's just how it was presented.
It's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo. As I recall, we had two different versions. It was whether we were just putting Streetsboro in there or whether we were going to say the city of. Now, I'm not opposed to removing "the." That's what, the vote would be to get rid of "the." I think the city of was put in there, if I remember correctly, was kind of to balance out the logo, and I think that goes further back than. It goes a ways back to put the city of in there. I think it was for balance.
I've just never seen a city logo anywhere that said the city of Aurora or the city of Hudson. It's always usually just city of or just the city name. That's just me. If we want to be that city with it's up to us, but
I have the prints that was passed around without the city or without city of, and then the other ones were the city of. They said the city of on the top of it, so it wasn't brought up before. That was probably the reasoning.
So you're not opposed to the city of, you just really don't.
I want the city of, yeah.
Right, you don't want "the" in there.
Yeah, I just don't think "the" is appropriate. I'm not the Justin Ring.
Well,
I'm Justin. I am the.
You're the one. One and only. McDaniel.
Thank you.
Ms. McDaniel, go ahead.
Mr. Meidinger
Yes.
and Rick. I'm curious as to the purpose of this whole branding guide. As I read through it, it's a lot of word salad with all the buzzwords. I just don't understand the purpose. And as I continue to read through it, you know me, there are typos. So I'm not going to approve this when we don't even have Streetsboro spelled correctly in our branding guide. But I would like to know what the branding guide is going to be used for, who gets it, what is the purpose?
So the main reason for a branding guide is to create consistency within all the departments and within all of the I guess, information that we're providing to the residents, to the outward community, on everything that we do as a city. Currently, when I asked for letterheads as examples, I've received 3 different letterheads or 4 different letterheads that were all created independently of each other through, artwork that was found online or something like that. It wasn't a uniform letterhead that was used across all the different departments. Some of the departments have different branded logo shirts. I know that our Parks and Recreation department has a different branded logo than any other department. As far as, excluding fire and police, they have their own badges. The standardized colors would just create a branded logo and a branded feel for the city, as all of their departments are underneath one branded umbrella.
I guess I don't understand what all of this is for. Residents are going to read this to...
No, this is internal.
This is, okay, it says internal and external usage, so and you just said residents and other things, so I was just trying to understand the purpose of all of this, but that brings me to a second point. You mentioned letterhead. This has been a very long process that began before I was on council, and an expensive one. Do we get any say in the business cards or the letterhead? Because in my opinion, these don't look good. They look cluttered and confusing. And are we watermarking the seal behind text on? I'm just curious about the design. Do we get any input on that?
This was used kind of as an example as a possible letterhead to be used. There was discussion and talk from council that they did not want to get rid of the image of the logo.
Right.
Or not the logo, I'm sorry, the seal. So I think the seal as a watermark would further legitimize a letterhead thing coming to you in the mail as something from the city versus somebody else who just made something on a computer and said, hey, I'm from the city.
Well, I personally think the design, and it's just my opinion, of the business cards is very cluttered and unusual, especially with the whole blue background and the
blue would be the back of the
I know,
card. Yeah.
it's unusual to me. I think we could do better. And same with the letterhead, just my opinion. So I didn't know if we get to give an opinion on that or if we're just looking to adopt the logo and the branding guide. But I personally wouldn't be okay with adopting this branding guide as it stands tonight.
Okay.
Mr. Henn.
Thank you. Kind of go off of Ms. McDaniel's point as well. I do agree that it feels a little bit cluttered. Like just for example, the first page of the branding guide, you got our new logo right over top of our city seal that's watermarked on there. I thought kind of like the whole purpose of doing a new logo was to kind of not transition away from the seal, but now everything is kind of partnered with this and the seal. I think having the new logo just kind of separate and then using the seal, like, it's fine to have it right here, but it just looks very cluttered to me with that on there. Now, maybe if it was faded more on the watermark part of it, because the example you used with the example letter, I don't even look at the wording. I'm just like too focused on the background. I mean, maybe that's just me, but
on the statement.
yeah. I feel like watermarks are like very faded. Maybe that just needs to be faded more if that's the case. But like with the business cards, I do agree it looks very busy. I wouldn't put the seal on there, and I'm all for QR codes, but I don't know what the QR code would go to. I feel like
This one goes to our current website.
yeah, so I mean, someone can just Google that. I don't really think people are gonna.
It's just an introduction into new technologies.
Maybe that, like, I don't know, can be on the other side or something, but, and then I'm kind of confused on the blue. It looks like the blue's covering up the city seal. Maybe that was done on accident.
Okay.
I don't know what was going on there. Do you see what I mean?
The back of the card he's talking
Right.
about. Yeah.
That it's covering it up. I think it was still more of just a watermark feature. And these are, I mean, don't take the coloring of this and the printing of this as a third generation copy of what you're getting as far as being photocopied and sent and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
When we have it printed, it would be, I think it would be clearer in the images. So I think that would change with the printing process.
Okay.
And again, these are examples of what it would be like when we go through the printing process. You could draw that, have that be less of a watermark, so it's not as full front, or that could change. I mean, if the watermark idea is not something that we would like, and we'd like to change it to a corner or take it out, that's also an option too. So this is just kind of a starting point, so to speak.
And then just with the letterhead, I think the simpler, the better. The next page after the branding guide is a letterhead from Bill Miller on our next item. I think it looks very clean. It says City of Streetsboro, it's got the address, and it's very simple. I think that's easy to read. I get it that people can fake things, but I think simple is good. The last thing I had was about the division logos. Can you just kind of tell me about that? I know when we first started talking about this, the idea was kind of to have a logo for each department. But again, I think that would kind of clutter things more. I think if you just use the logo and then make the division name goes here part smaller and just center it under there.
As far as the title and the wording underneath?
Yeah, because I'm just curious, like, the first two, Mayor Glenn Ambroska and City Council, what would our division logo look like? How long is that going to take to make a logo? I think
just City Council underneath the logo itself, similar to what Parks and Recreation is like.
But like what this is showing is that the division or department icon will always go to the left of the logo and set to the same height.
If there were something, yes.
Okay. So like, for example, I think the service department has one. It's the next page. There's a letterhead that has service department over the city seal.
Is that in the agenda or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like
I don't
council
have that
should
pulled
see
up,
it, but like the next item.
Just the letterhead, the traditional letterhead.
Oh, it just says City of Streetsboro with the logo underneath.
And then it just says, service department.
Yeah. Okay.
I just happened to be scrolling through and I saw that, but.
Right. I see. I haven't seen that letterhead before.
So I get we all kind of have. No, I get where you're coming from. I think consistency is the best. Whatever department it's coming from, they have the same letterhead.
Yeah.
Same business card, everything. I just don't know. Are we going to go through a process and make an icon for every department? Is that going to be?
I don't think so. What was your icon?
The intent was just police and
Okay. Yeah, I don't see a
Can you come up
separate
to the
icon.
microphone for us, please?
It's okay.
Fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can make a separate icon for every department if you want, but I think the intent for that is probably mostly for police and fire.
Okay.
Is what the intent is for that one.
Okay.
The rest of we didn't really get too far down the rabbit hole of, does every department need a different logo? I mean, I think it was a little bit of a process to come up with the logo that we have now. So what I would invite anyone that has feedback on the branding, whether it's spelling, whether it's layout or anything, I think it would be a good idea to put all those thoughts and feedback into a note or an email to Greg, so that we can address each one of them, make sure everybody's happy with it. I mean, that's the intent and consistency for this entire thing, to make our city look more professional than it does now, both on the internally and on the outside is most the intent. And I think Greg and I have visions of, maybe there's, we show like what a vehicle wrap or a service vehicle wrap might look like, maybe some signage, just examples. Not that anybody's got to get held to it, but obviously we want everybody's feedback, and, we'll make the adjustments as we need to.
Thank you.
I think maybe I get just one more thing on like a business card. Like, I think it'd be great to have one printed out, because it doesn't translate well with the blue background here. But you're saying that if it's printed, it would look better.
I'll speak to the blue background. The blue background was kind of to honor the old seal, and then if a business card with a dark color is upside down on a cluttered desk, it's easy to find.
Yeah.
So that was the reasoning behind that. We could totally change the other side of it. We can make it blank. Do whatever you want.
I just can't see the logo. I feel like it would look different if I could see
it. You'd be able to see it on the final printed piece. So you're looking at an electronic piece, and then we're showing it in multiple copies here, and the quality of the copier. Right. But ultimately, we would print it out. We'd show proof, and you guys would be like yes, no, or whatever. So
that's all.
Anything can be done.
Tony, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henn. Okay, thank you. Just one question I had. Is the Parks and Rec Department demoing this new logo? I know I could have sworn I saw something on Facebook with some new shirts, and I wasn't sure if you're demoing it or just.
We do have a variation of a white for some of our seasonal staff. Yeah.
Okay.
There's also a polo shirt example in that brand guide there.
Okay. That's right.
Thank you.
Going to Lisa's point about the purpose of brand guides, I think they explained it well. Most corporate, like I know my corporation has a very specific brand guide because they want to control when messaging goes out, what our brand looks like, right? It's important to control your brand. And I agree with the branding guide for sure. Gives you sizes, things, so everything stays uniform, looks right, tells you what you're allowed to use, what you're not allowed to use. You don't want people just changing colors. You don't want, so everything stays standard. So I love a branding guide. I do agree with a lot of the comments. I think the business cards, get rid of the seal, get rid of the QR code, put the logo at the top, put all the info at the bottom. It's just easier. My opinion, it does look cluttered. I think the envelopes look great, to be honest with you. The letterhead, I think, is fine. If that seal was just really damped down and then, just my other thing, I just go back to that's all. So that's my biggest contention is the.
And all those things can be easily remedied and changed and adjusted.
I will say, I did open up the file in a different format, and it must be different because it looks a lot better. So I can actually see the dimmed back, like it's more dim than.
Yeah, it's meant to be a watermark, just to more or less honor the old seal or the current seal. I'd say old, but kind of bring history forward while maintaining a bit of modernism as well.
Just for the record, on behalf of myself, I don't want to see the seal taken off of anything. I don't like it hidden behind text on a letter. I think our seal is great. I know some people have, I'm just putting it out there that I like the seal. I don't want that taken off of anything or hidden behind the body of an official letter. I think it should be visible. I don't think it should just be here. And I just want to make that known in case we are making some changes to these items.
Okay. Ms. Glenn?
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo. I didn't think we were, right, I didn't think we were going to be removing the city seal. That's what we talked about. The logo was in addition to. So now if we're going to start putting just the logo and getting rid of the seal, I didn't think that was the intention. So I just wanted to say that I'm agreeing with Mrs. McDaniel that that was not supposed to be the intention. I thought the logo was going to be used maybe for, different things. And I also want to say that I'm not a real big fan of this gold stripe on the left side of the letterhead, the envelopes, the business cards. I really don't like the color. That's my personal opinion. Maybe everybody else likes it. And I feel like the letterhead's a little unbalanced. I agree that the business cards there's too much going on there. The letterhead looks a little unbalanced at the top because there's nothing on the left, to me.
There would be though, right? Wouldn't that be where the department would go?
Correct, yeah.
Depending
So
on
it's
the
similar to what
Okay, so
the
that
service
will-
department would be, so
So that will never be blank like it's showing here. There'll be something over here.
Well, there could be like City Hall's address on one side.
Like this type of thing.
Administrative.
We have
Right,
something
because
over
Bill,
here.
because
There'll always
there's two
be
different
something
addresses. So,
Because the way it is, it looks a little lopsided.
I hate to interrupt.
Go ahead.
But wouldn't that be on this example? I mean, we're given an example and it doesn't have, so I would have assumed the same, Mary Ann, that it's unbalanced. Because it seems to me that like this is a filled out example, what it would look like if we're using it, but it doesn't have that balance at the top. I agree with that.
All right. Is there any more discussion from anyone before we move on from the logo topic?
Well, the logo top was on for full council as emergency tonight, and
Right.
I don't think we're ready to do that, so.
would you like
Next
to
month, or-
table or move to first read, or what would you like
Okay, we
to,
would just move it to first read.
the changes, or it's up to you, it's up to council?
Go ahead.
We expect some changes. This has been such a very drawn-out process, and I think that's part of the struggle is we go for months without seeing anything new, and then we get it and we have new ideas, and we've had time to think, or it looks fresh again, and we have comments. When can we expect some changes based on the feedback tonight, some edits to the branding guide to spruce it up?
I'd like to see some changes to the branding guide. We'll go through it again just to make sure we highlight some of the things we had talked about. If you wouldn't mind, per Rick's recommendation, if there's anything that's specific, if you want to email me so I don't make sure I don't miss anything, that would be helpful.
I think that would be the most helpful thing. If you guys want to shorten this process, let's get everybody's thoughts and ideas down, get them to Greg, and we'll turn them around for you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We have went over and 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 over this. And we have brought these iterations to council. We finally did decide on a logo with the exception of the word "the," okay? We don't have any problem. If "the" wants to be removed from there, then so be it. I would ask council to approve the logo as it is, and we will, with your direction on the branding guide, we will make the arrangements or the amendments to the branding guide and bring that forth. But I would like to see us adopt this logo. Lisa, you just said, we did it before you were here, and now we bring, a new voice into it. I thought that these voices had all been heard.
No, may I?
Excuse me, I'm not done. I have the floor.
You're right.
Every time that we have been through this, just a whole litany of times, and we have had, these iterations. We started off with about 10 or 15 of them, and we got it down to the one that we thought that everybody agreed on, with the exception of the word "the." Got no problem with that. But to push it off for another month, I mean, if we have a problem with the branding guide, then we can we'll take your input to change the branding guide. But I would like to see the logo finally adopted so that we can move forward and finally put this thing to rest after the year or so that we've been working. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Say something? Okay, well, I'd like to talk.
Ms. Glenn?
Thank you. It seems to me it's been about 3 months since Mr. Meininger brought this to us to kind of approve the logo as a discussion item. Now, maybe I'm a little off on that, if anybody has any idea. It's been a long time. And so now, here we come with things that seem like they could have been presented to us quicker than that. And now here we are under emergency. We need to do this logo right now. A little confused as to why we're printing shirts if we haven't approved the logo. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I don't know why we've had to wait what seems like 3 months to get this.
As far as the timeline for the
Right,
process?
right, exactly.
We've tried to take everybody's thoughts and time into consideration when coming up with the logos.
Well, we did kind of agree we did agree that the logo was fine, like about 3 months ago.
Okay.
And then I thought you were going to bring back legislation and we were going to approve it. And it seems to me like it's been about 3 months. Now, it could be a little off on that. I don't know if anyone knows, but it's been quite a while.
Okay. I apologize. I've been working on lots of things.
Well,
so yeah, it's a process that we do. I mean, we want to make sure we get right. So I don't want to rush anything.
Well, I do agree we want to get it right, but now here we are again, kind of hashing some things, I guess, that some of us have some issues with. And I don't know, again, if we're approving each little item. I mean, the logo for me is fine. I don't really care if the word "the" is in it or not in it. Either way, I'm fine with that. But I mean, are we approving letterheads and as they're written, or is that something who's actually doing that here? Who's approving all the little things? Are we doing that, or are you doing that?
Well, the logo will be on the letterhead, and the only thing that's going to change from department to department is it will say mayor's office, service department, planning and zoning, and that's basically going to go below the logo. Is that not correct?
Correct.
It's correct. So I mean, there is no.
We're talking about like the business. I think everybody's agreeing the business cards are cluttered. There's too much on there. Something needs to change. I mean, who's approving that? Are we approving that as part of this? Is that going to be approved by you, the mayor, or who's actually doing that?
Well, I didn't even look at this. Okay, I thought reading the agenda, I thought we were approving the logo, and Mr. Meininger has been working on the thing, the business cards. It is your one and only chance to get as much information to a person as you can. And, I know that the QR codes are new. The QR code could have went on the back on a blank thing. We were trying to pay respect to the logo by including the logo on there. Okay. I don't have any problem with that. Could we lighten up the front of it a little bit? We probably could. I didn't know that it would need approval for a business card. I really didn't think that, but we did want to give council the courtesy to look over what the branding guide would be, because as Mr. Ring just said, we want to control where this goes and how it is displayed. I mean, I don't want somebody to wear a t-shirt that has, the logo this big on their back. I mean, we have to control that to a certain extent. And as I said, if we can agree on what the logo is, we can definitely go back and work on these other things, okay, and bring that forth to council. But I would, at some point in time, I would like to put the logo portion to bed, and we adopt the logo, and we can most definitely, the stuff that has been brought up is not anything that really is groundbreaking, okay? It is stuff that we can look at. I mean, it's a normal procedure for us. We create stuff, we bring it to you guys for discussion, okay? And without fail, there are always amendments and changes that we have to do because we respect your guys' opinion. But I would like to see the logo adopted And we will bring back some type of a branding guide or a new revised branding guide to council. That's all I'm asking.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wagner.
So I just have a question. Can we put it to first read and then make an emergency once they get these, everyone, maybe give it a limit to when we need all these requests done by a certain date, and then you kind of go through them and bring them all back and send it back out, and then it goes through and reads to an emergency at that point? Because I feel like, it's been dragging out for a really long time, and we need to.
Yeah, so if it was at first read, then the next available time would be the 26th at the next council.
Yeah, could they do that at that point in emergency if we have all the differences that everybody wants put in there done? If they can get all these emails in within a couple days with their changes and adjustments.
Mr. Mayor. I was going to say, we could separate, we could approve a logo.
Can we do the
and we can
logo?
approve the branding guide at a separate time.
This legislation already says the logo design attached here to as A is formally adopted as a new city logo. There's no mention of adopting a guideline in this ordinance, the way it's currently worded. I attached it as illustration because it's part of the discussion item, but that's not really part of the legislation.
And I think here's the problem, if we do remove then we're not, is on this exhibit. I don't want to approve something. Yeah, we could say remove but then where does city of go? Is that going to look right? I mean,
is it centered? Is it off to the left? Is it?
Yeah.
We have to figure that out.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's in there or not in there.
Mr. Mayor.
I think that's a bang-up idea. If we move it forward to first read, even on the second read, if you folks choose, if what we bring back after the second read is acceptable, you can change it to read and declare an emergency and get it through on the second read.
You don't even have to amend it, just don't vote to adopt, just read it for tonight.
So.
Just to move it forward.
Yes, yes. I think we should move it forward. This is just, it's like a lifetime of logo design.
Yeah.
I want to speak to that, though, based on something you said, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I was elected in November. This contract was approved in April of 2023. So yeah, I came on board once things were going, but I believe the first logo that was shown was sort of decided on outside of council, and there was a lot of pushback. And then a small committee was formed, and we met with Mr. Meitinger and Rick, 3 council people, and gave lots of ideas. We have been diligently responding and working on this, and I do not appreciate being told that we're holding it up because we have been very promptly giving feedback and thoughts in writing via email for going on a year for me. I'm not sure about before I was here. So I just want to say that because I don't think it's appropriate for you to act like we're holding up this process for you. We've been working diligently and been giving feedback very quickly, trying to get this done. We're all tired of the logo. So I just want to put that out there. I don't have a problem approving the logo to move to full council, but I really don't want to see a branding guide like this put out to anybody with the way it stands currently. It's embarrassing. We shouldn't even be given this kind of stuff. But if this isn't what we're worrying about, the logo we did kind of agree on about 3 months ago. So I agree with getting a move on. We've been trying for many months.
Thank you. I just want to say that I think we're all not going to be 100% content with everything. There's going to be a line that's going to be discolored. There's going to be something that's going to be off no matter what we do. So we have to get this done and we have to figure it out. Yeah, it's an important thing to do, but we're not all going to be content with it 100%. We're not. Something's going to be off a little shade. It's going to be off. So that's all I have to say. Anything else, Ms. Glenn?
Quickly, that's why I'm inquiring as to who's making these decisions, because I don't really think that we all need to, all of us need to agree on all these little things that we're talking about. Some things, yes, but every little thing, that's why I'm asking who is actually the lead on deciding what the letterhead looks like, who's deciding that? It sounds like it's not the mayor, so Mr. Meitinger, is he the one that's in charge of deciding that?
No, I think it'd be an administrative
function. So administrative, no matter what, it's really not us. We're approving the logo and the branding and marketing, yes?
So yes.
Okay.
Okay. So we need a motion to move this to first read.
I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council for first read.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? First and a second to move this to tonight, full council as first read. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm hearing none. This will go to tonight's full council as first read. 5, new business. Item A, certify unpaid grass cutting bills as liens. Mr. Bill Miller.
This is the grass violations that we've cut this year, and one on the back page was from last year. We did not certify it last year, so it's gonna get that done this year. If this gets passed till the 26th meeting for pass, to get the ordinance made, I would probably do one more cut on most of these if it's needed. So the prices will probably go up a little bit.
All right, any discussion or questions for Mr. Bill Miller?
Oh, God.
Mr. Ring.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo. Mr. Miller, how long do we bill them before we look to lien them?
We build them, as soon as we mow, we bill them. So as soon as I get done with that, and I give secretary the account, she bills them right out the next week. Then they just come back not paid or undeliverable.
Okay. So I'm just wondering, like, some of these $1,200, that's 4 cuts, right? Yep. So when was the last time we cut it? If it was 2 weeks ago, we shouldn't be leaning that one, maybe the one that was 6 months ago.
That particular one we've had for years.
Okay.
So. It's actually right across the street.
I hate throwing liens on if they haven't even had time to pay it. That's my point.
They've had all summer.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Ring?
No.
We do bill them each time too. So if I mow it twice, another bill goes out with the 2, I get a third. So it's not like they're not.
So how much time are we giving them to pay before you're bringing this to us? Like, what's the minimum?
Well, usually they don't respond within that 30 days.
So 30 days. I mean, if you don't get it in 30 days, right?
Somewhere in that area. So
30 days seems kind of short though to me to go put, for liens. I don't know what I think it should be, but 30 days, that's only a month. People could be on vacation.
I don't think most of them are on vacation. If they would respond then.
Most of these are probably vacant houses. Probably people that have moved out.
We've moved more than that. Some of them have paid. They'll get the bill and then they'll hire somebody to mow their lawn after that.
Questions for Mr. Miller?
I'll make a motion to send this to the next regular council meeting with the new updated numbers. And I'm all for leaning it. Why waste our time? Just do it. They're not going to pay it. They're not going to pay it.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to move this to next.
Yeah.
Full council.
With the updated
numbers. All in favor? Opposed? Hearing none. B, discuss amending code regarding short-term residential rentals. Mr. Chesnowski.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo, members of council. I just included the email that I sent out as basically reused it as a cover letter. I felt like it outlined basically what we've done, which is added definitions, added short-term residential rentals as an accessory use by right in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 districts: OC, RR, RT, R1, R2, B, and I1. In the case of B and I1, it's for legal non-conforming dwellings. And then we added on page 19 a new section 1151.34 that set forth some general regulations based on the district, and then added permitting requirements. In those permitting requirements, it obviously requires application, but the 3 sort of substantive requirements to be shown with each one of the applications would be parking, ingress and egress, and smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. As I noted in my email, I'm sort of giving council the first crack at providing feedback or input before it goes to the planning commission, so that just trying to make it flow a little smoother through the approval process once it gets back up to council after it's been considered by planning commission. I worked with Paul to draft these regulations. He drafted the original, and then we sort of talked through various iterations of it, and with the thought that we wanted some regulations in place, but not overly burdensome regulations. I've seen other examples where they have the permitting requirements and then they make no reference in the district regulations to whether or not short-term rentals are permitted or not. That's a big distinction here that I think needs to be made, and that's where the accessory use by right comes in. We didn't think it made sense to just have permitting requirements and then not note them in each applicable district, which districts they were permitted. So, be more than happy to answer any questions. As noted on the agenda for the regular council meeting, this will need a sort of a recommendation back down to planning commission to then satisfy the recommendation back up to council, but wanted to, as I said, give council the ability to discuss, consider, and make any changes before it goes to planning commission for their input.
All right, thank you. Any questions or discussion from council? Councilman Gagne.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo. Mr. Jaskowski, I appreciate you answering some questions for me earlier. I struggle a little bit. Page 19, 1151.34B. I personally would love to see some way of allowing property owners in RT, R1, and R2. Here's my vision. If someone has a little home in town that they own, that they want to turn into a verbo or rent out, this does not allow for that because it has to be an ADU attached to the dwelling. And I just feel like, and only based on experience of utilizing verbos and Airbnbs, if someone has a little house that they want to use for that purpose, this does not allow for that. Am I understanding that correctly? For RT, R1, R2?
That is correct. Yeah, our thought there was in those districts, the lots are smaller. And so the chances of VRBO uses creating conflicts with adjacent properties is that much higher. And so that's why we put that limitation in those districts, understanding that generally the lot sizes in those districts are smaller. Whereas in the OC and the RR district, we allowed the principal single-family dwelling or any attached or detached accessory dwelling unit to be used as a short-term rental.
Mr. Ring.
So you're trying to protect the neighborhoods with tighter or closer neighbors, because I'd hate to have an Airbnb right next.
Yeah, that was
7 feet away from my neighbor's house, you know. So.
That was one of the purposes of it. The other was to sort of provide a disincentive to companies that are purchasing our single-family homes and turning them into rentals.
Yeah.
Without being direct in that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ring. Ms. Glenn.
Thank you. I agree with how it's written. I don't want an in-and-out short-term rental next to me either, so I like it how it is.
Okay.
That does seem to be a big issue, companies buying residential houses.
That's what they're doing.
It's been a big issue all over the country.
Yeah, it's starting to be a bigger issue in planning circles for sure.
Oh, yes, please come on up and state your name and address for the record.
Paul Yupa, 8749 Seasons Road. A question, are additional detached residential units on a single parcel allowed in OC and RR?
They are.
So you can have more than one?
So there are limitations on it. It cannot be bought, sold, or legally encumbered separately from the principal dwelling unit. So that you don't get to a situation where you're starting to allow two dwelling units on one, or two principal dwelling units on one parcel.
And what's the limit on the amount of those?
One per parcel.
So you can have a principal unit.
And it says not more than one accessory dwelling unit, and I'm reading from, just so council can follow along, I'm reading from the top of page 19 in 1151.18 accessory dwelling unit. It says in the FPOCR, RR, R1, R2, R3 districts, not more than one accessory dwelling unit as defined and limited in this section. So one is the limitation.
That's the limitation. That way you can't have somebody with a principal dwelling unit and several small cottages.
Six accessory dwelling units on the same parcel.
On the same parcel. You're currently allowed a single one. Can it be, there's a move where people have like those barndominiums now, with a dwelling unit above or adjacent to a accessory building or a garage or something like that? Or is that something that's allowed? Or
it is. It is. Yeah, it does say here, and I mentioned it earlier. This is reading from the same section, 1151.18. It says, except as specifically provided in section 1151.34, no ADU shall be rented, leased, let, or hired out to be occupied or used as a place of transient accommodation. And then the transient accommodation in this round of revisions allows for short-term rental residential.
Okay, so that changes that then to allow for a short-term rental.
Correct.
Okay.
The key there, though, is that you have to have separate utilities. The accessory dwelling unit can't be larger than the principal, and that there has to be is subject to title, contractual, or regulatory restrictions preventing it from being bought, sold, or legally encumbered, e.g. mortgaged, leased, etc., separate from the principal dwelling unit.
Are they required, since they're short-term rentals, to have different building regulations in those, or is it just?
We included in what we're proposing for the permit regulations. I think I understand your question.
Yeah, I mean, generally in a hotel, you have, if it's on a second story, do you have a fire escape? Do you have, are the things that are
I would rely on the building code for that, in terms of what's required to be in an accessory dwelling unit. This is more focused on what has to be included if you're going to utilize that accessory dwelling unit for a short-term rent.
Okay.
And that's why we included a fire-related inspection for the ingress and egress and carbon monoxide and smoke detector requirements.
Is there a charge for the permit?
There's a $50 annual charge.
Okay, that maybe some of those questions can clear up some of the things. Questions that I had would give an idea to council what you're driving for as well and what's currently permitted.
Yeah, and what I was referencing mostly, council, is on page 21 in 731.04, B2 and 3. Ingress and egress is confirmed by the fire department, and then smoke and carbon monoxide detectors installed within 10 feet of each sleeping room.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So this is just discussion.
We have to, if we have any recommendations for changes, we can give them now, or we have to send this back to planning commission.
Ms. McDaniel.
I have another hypothetical, and I like to put it out because, Mr. Ring and Mrs. Glenn responded about the other districts that I had thoughts about, and I think that's great to hear. So another hypothetical that came to mind that I shared with you already, Mr. Jaskowski, but I want to share here just to help think it through. Accessory dwelling unit is defined and B, has usable square footage not exceeding that of the principal dwelling. Okay, so of course I'm thinking about RR. And I'm thinking about someone who maybe has a little house in RR on 12 acres and they want to build a barn dominium and have 2,000 square foot rental space, but their home is only 1,200 square feet. You following me here? We don't allow that. Is that something we should consider?
So I think if you look at on page 19 in 1151.34A, in OC and RR on a lot where a single-family dwelling is the principal use, the principal dwelling and/or any conforming ADU may be used as a short-term residential rental.
But if the square footage of the rental was bigger than the principal dwelling, it's not conforming.
It wouldn't be an ADU.
Right. And as we had talked about, the key there, it's a fine line because we're required to put any changes to density before the voters. And if you start allowing a second principal dwelling on a lot, you're doubling the density that you're permitted to have on any parcel of property. And so the way to stay on the right side of the regulations and not trigger a vote through an increase in density is to ensure that you're not allowing a second principal structure. So that's where your principal dwelling versus your accessory dwelling and the size of the accessory relative to the principal can be the same size, not bigger. And again, if you have a small one and you want to build a big one, then you can do that. But one has to be your principal dwelling, one has to be the accessory dwelling unit.
You really wouldn't be able to do that in theory because you're not going to give me a permit for an ADU that's bigger than the principal one. So I'm not going to be able to get a permit to build the bigger building. You're not going to give me a permit to build another principal building on the lot when I already have a principal building on the lot. So in theory, you can't do it.
I'm picturing like barn conversion. I mean, this is a hypothetical idea if somebody's out there with a little house.
And I think I can definitely understand and appreciate the example. I don't know that there are enough of those examples out there to warrant changing the regulation as it's currently drafted.
Gotcha.
If you think that that's the case, absolutely.
No, it was one of those ideas like, well, wait, what if this would happen?
Yeah.
So no, I don't know of any that would even be potentially eligible for that idea. Just was an idea I wanted to throw out there in light of thinking this over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? So what do we do with this?
Hey, Lisa, I wanted to, and members of council, I wanted to mention something else. I just mentioned to you that I discussed with Paul some of your questions after we spoke. And he did tell me, because I mentioned to you that our concern in the smaller districts was the nuisances or impacts on adjacent properties. And you had mentioned that, every time you enter into a contract for an Airbnb, you have to sign something. Paul mentioned to me that that would be a contract between the owner and whoever rented the Airbnb. That's not something that the city can enforce. Those are not rules that they can enforce, per se. So I just wanted to clarify that for you and for council, that was some input that Paul provided to me after we chatted earlier today.
Thank you.
There's no further discussion. I'll make a motion to send this to planning commission. Recommend this draft.
Council has to send it to
Oh.
planning. That's why I put this to go to council tonight.
Okay. Then to full council.
You just jumped the gun.
Yeah.
It's already on the full council agenda for a motion.
A motion to send this to tonight's full council?
Yes.
Second.
First and a second to send this to tonight's full council. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, so go to tonight's full council.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Item C, T7643, allow beer in the park for Streetsboro Brew and Barbecue Bash, Mr. Meidinger.
A motion to send this to tonight's regular council. We need beer at this event.
It's in the name.
We have a motion to send this to tonight's full.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that'll go to tonight's full council. Item D, T7644, amend ordinance number 2024-83 for Napa purchases, Mr. Bill Miller.
Napa actually sold, and they were on the ordinance. It was Napa GLE, or JLE, excuse me. So if we can just switch that and amend this ordinance to say Napa, so we can continue to buy our auto parts.
Actually, I think we should leave it the way it is.
Okay.
It's just basically changing the owner. The owner's changed because they sold all the stores, and I thought it would be necessary to council's approval to deal with the new vendor.
But it's not really a new vendor. It's still Napa. It's just a different owner. It's like if I bought Outback and I just left it Outback, it's still Outback, right? Yeah.
Whatever council wants to do.
What's the law director's recommendation?
My recommendation is to leave it as it is.
To take no action
Yes, exactly. Well, no, to pass this,
without changing.
anything in it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, then I'll make a motion to send T7644 to tonight's regular council as drafted.
We have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move us to tonight's full council. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go to tonight's full council. Item E, T7645, authorized computer purchases from Newegg and CDW Government. Mr. Kaufman.
Thank you. So this isn't actually authorizing a purchase, it's just authorizing the vendors. We've hit that $20,000 threshold. Now that the network department does all the purchases for every department, all of their budgets kind of went under my budget instead of individual budgets. So I hit the threshold for $20,000 for both Newegg and CDW. And Mr. Finance Matt Miller had said that and able to continue purchasing when I need to buy a keyboard or something of the sort. I needed to have an ordinance from council just authorizing basically up to the budgeted amount.
Mr. Ring.
Mr. Miller, why would we have to continue to authorize? Isn't it a separate PO? Like, it's the same vendor, but if he buys a keyboard for $30, that's not something we need to approve just because he's already spent $20,000 this year.
It's the cumulative amount under that department. And so because part of my job is to make sure the departments spend within what they're allotted from council. Since we took all the city's computer purchases and put it under one department GL, he's going to hit that 20 a lot faster. Whereas that's the individual.
That's the budget, not the purchase, right? So I'm confused because the Board of Control can authorize purchases up to individual purchases up to $20,000, right? Between $5,000 and $20,000.
Correct.
Then we need to step in on an individual purchase. Not, hey, you're spending money every month out of your.
Oh, no, they can, if they, suppose they had a nefarious reason, they could structure them in a way, they're a bunch of small purchases to cut us out of the loop. This prevents.
So you look at any department that has a cumulative purchase over $20,000, we're approving every single one of those. They can't go to Board of Controls anymore.
It's rare to hit. It has to be pretty big items, but that's part of the controls of council.
Part of our oversight.
Okay.
It's happened before where people are like, oh, we'll just bust it up into a bunch of smaller. Not you. I mean, unless you're competitive.
Mr. Mayor.
When we brought Matt on, I made it the policy that all computer purchases, IT purchases, stuff be filtered through him.
Sure.
So it took it out of the individual departments. Now, if the individual department has something that they work or that they want, it has to go through Matt. So now, instead of getting 1 or 2 computers, we might get a whole bunch of them, and it would take us over that threshold, and that is what this is for. We still have the oversight on Matt. He still has to create a PO, but it allows him, we took the IT budget out of the department.
And put it on him.
He's got it. He's got the IT budget, and everything has to go through him, and that was the whole purpose of this.
I was just not confused, but I guess confused on the cumulative. And it obviously makes sense. I'm just, okay.
You good?
No, I understand it. I'm not confused on it. I'm just confused on, I understand why we would put a control in for large purchases, like, hey, you can't purchase this because it's $50,000 and we want to know about it. But if I go to buy a pen for $3, but my department's already spent $1,999, now I got to come to council every time for the $3. That just seems, I understand it's part of our controls, but that really seems obnoxious, doesn't it?
No, I don't. No, because I think otherwise, and in not this administration, but if the administration wanted to cut council out of the loop, they'd just structure all their purchases, call them something else, and bust them up into smaller amounts so that you couldn't stop them from spending outside the original budget. This gives you oversight.
I think it gives us microsight.
I mean, that's what was Board of Control way back? It was $500 at one point. It was $500 at one point. Now it's 20 G's. We're just like, you only dropped 20 grand. I don't care. You know, like I remember when it was anything over $500, we were like, what do you need that for? $600. Now we're like, whatever.
Yeah.
So you're not one to give up oversight.
Oh, no, I'm not at all. I get it. It just seems very, when it comes down to that kind of thing where it's like, I can't go purchase a $30 keyboard without waiting 2 weeks to come to council because I need council's approval because the department's already over $20,000. I think that's micromanaging, and I just think it's undue. It just puts an undue burden on the departments at that point, especially if it's something they need. Hey, now Matt can't do his work because his keyboard broke and he needs a new keyboard, but he can't go buy one for 2 weeks because we got to approve it.
Right.
So now he can't do anything, right? You know, I don't know.
Is that what this legislation fixes though? So now that he's at the 20,000, this legislation will say he can now get a $20 something and a $30 something, even though it's over the 20,000?
Correct. Still under using the guidelines set forth by council.
So once this is passed, you don't have to come back for more?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Individual purchase of 20,000.
This is really the first year.
Authorized computer purchases.
You still can't go outside the budget.
Correct. And this is the first year that we've changed it to where the network department does all the IT purchases. So going forward, we did kind of learn next year, we'll put this in January. You know, the vendors that we use the most, we'll put it in January instead of waiting until we hit that threshold. It's kind of a learning year for us.
I'm going to make a motion to send T7645 to tonight's regular council as emergency.
Good. Motion and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, let's go to tonight's full council.
Thank you.
You're welcome. C, citizens' comments. Anybody out there? I see none. 7 announcements. A regular council meeting will immediately follow this meeting. 8 adjournment. First and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned from Service Committee.
I need a motion to reconvene the council meeting. First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are at item 3, which is disposition of minutes. There are none. Item 4 is citizen comments. Any citizen comments on any of the regular council meeting agenda items tonight? Hearing none, seeing none, we will move on to reports, communications from departments, boards, and commissions. We'll start over here on this side. Chief Wayne. I saw you sitting up.
Did you see him start? Actually, I just have some real quick. We've recently received information that there's been a couple very large explosion noises coming from the southwest corner of town. We found some evidence of possibly something similar to a Drano bomb, which unfortunately the directions are pretty easy to find on the internet. After we got that report on August 9th, I later found out that there was residents that heard it at least 2 other times back in July, but nobody had reported anything. They'd thrown some stuff on social media and left it at that. So we're asking if anybody hears anything or sees anything like that to let us know. I don't think it's isolated to us alone. One of the residents did actually see the car leaving the area rather rapidly after the explosive noise. Unfortunately, they took off at too high a rate of a speed. But if people are hearing it, we need to know about it. A couple weeks later doesn't do us a lot of good as far as trying to track down some evidence. We did find one of the containers was left behind. It had not deployed. Hopefully BCI can give us some idea of what's actually in there, but it is looking like throw everything together in a bottle, shake it up really hard, and then listen to the fireworks after. So again, if anybody sees anything, please say something. And if anybody reports anything to you guys, please have them call the police department so we can try and get this tracked down.
We followed up with Christine Craycroft at Portage Park District after this had occurred. And at one point, we had some other vandalism, people breaking into cars, and they had trail cameras that were put there. And I asked her if she would consider putting permanent security cameras there and to match our security cameras so that they could actually be monitored in dispatch. And she's getting with her park ranger, and she'll get back with us, and I'll keep you guys in the loop as to what's going to occur. I personally would like to see permanent security cameras down there. The PD does actually frequently drive out there and visit that park, but if they're downtown or in another section and something does happen down there, it is a jaunt to get out there. And I'd rather see the heads up provided by a security camera that the dispatcher can look at and say, hey, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. What the hell's a car doing at Trail Lake Park at 3 o'clock in the morning? And we can send someone out there. So Christine said she would get back with us, and we'll continue to pursue that.
Go ahead, Joe.
Aside from cameras, I know like the school uses those license plate readers. So any vehicle that pulls inside of that lot, they'll be able to pull that information.
Well, that's going to be up to Portage Park.
No, I'm just saying like maybe that's a good suggestion, because sometimes a camera, depending on where you put it, it's not going to pick that up. But if there's only one entrance to that, then they'll pick up the license plate.
Well, those cameras are on Grant, though. All the schools are getting those flock cameras on.
But they're pretty cool. So.
Oh, they're very, they're, feel like Big Brother. You get every plate.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Reynolds.
Oh, boy.
Man.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. With the Ohio Fire Academy, we're going to bring up their simulation trailer for driver training. So it was actually a presentation, and then he actually had to drive in the simulator, which was kind of weird. I got a headache, dizzy, and nauseated from driving.
I used to that.
You've done it before, Mr. Lombardo?
A few years ago.
Okay, no. You don't feel it when you put on the brakes. You should be stopping, but your body doesn't move with what you see on the screen. But it was very informative. It's all for prevention, driver prevention. Last Thursday, we participated in International Mud Day, Tinkers Creek Church on Page Road. This is the second year. Big pile of dirt. They called us up there with our tanker to make mud out of it. The whole event was sponsored by Tide. No, just kidding. And the kids had a good time. Just we're coming down the hill in the mud. We had last Sunday, we participated in the Geauga County, Portage County water shuttle. We were the host city. Berry Plastics was kind enough to let us pump water into their pond, draft it out, pump it back in. So that was a Sunday training exercise in case we run into areas that don't have hydrants. And then we're finished up with Wingate. They were very kind and let us come in there and practice standpipe high-rise operations, which is different than structural house firefighting. We have to connect in the stairwell to the pipes and then lay line. And last but not least is due to the recent thunderstorm and tornado actions we've had, Captain Grimm monitors our social media, and there was a flurry of activity. We want to know if we actually had any tornadoes in Streetsboro. Streetsboro, we were in a bubble, as the mayor would say. The rain in Hudson was like 6.5, Aurora was over 4 inches, and we didn't have any problem, any flooding basements. So we missed it. Manaway was the same position. But what it brought to attention was there's a lot of misinformation or people not knowing where to go and look or what to do when there's an emergency. In the past, we've gone to the most susceptible places like Camelot Village for like tornadoes. And we've had classes in their family center there. So talking to Captain Grimm, we decided to put together a program, a severe weather program, which involves not only tornadoes, thunderstorms, blizzards, flooding. And if I can, give me an example. We purchased this emergency preparedness guide. So what we plan on doing is actually having emergency weather, severe weather training, PowerPoint presentation, talking about the different type of emergencies and how to prepare for them, and also where you can actually get the weather information. Okay, now, we get the information, it only comes to safety forces, but it's rebroadcast from the EMA. So there's all kinds of places where you can get information, and that'd be one of the factors in this class, is to be able to go to a place if you don't have a weather radio to go on your cell phone. And if the seniors don't understand how to program it, we have directions on how to do it. So I'll talk to Mr. Meidinger, the senior center, addressing the seniors, and then making a call out to Camelot Village, Lakeside off 303, where there's seniors, they're not as mobile, to be able to get out and actually pay attention to weather. So we plan on implementing this in the coming weeks, getting things organized. So that's the last thing I have.
Thank you. Mr. Knott, you have anything?
No, nothing at this time.
All right, Mr. Meidinger.
This weekend, beer barbecue bash from 12 to 6 down at City Park. If anybody would be interested in volunteering to pour beer, we still have a couple slots left. I think the 2 to 6 time frame. So if you're interested in doing that, we would like to have some help. Other than that, there'll be lots of food, live music, entertainment for the kids, and you can get your picture taken with Lola the pig from Oshesky's Barbecue. So, if you have any questions on that, let me know. Other than that, just staying busy, getting our program guide together for the next program cycle. I do want to thank Mrs. McDaniels for coming out and performing for this senior center on that Tuesday. That was Thursday. We did do a luncheon, and she came with her sister and played music for us, and everybody had a great time. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Mr. Trzaskowski?
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Justin? Miller and Miller?
Just an update on the water meter project. We're down to 384 meters and counting. So we're getting very close to being done with it.
Very good.
So
That's including retail and businesses.
commercial and residential, all of it, total, yes.
I did notice a post
couple days ago stating that they didn't show up for a second time scheduled appointment. So are we doing that again, or?
I'm looking into that one.
Okay.
Yes, I got
I believe
notice
the
of
mayor
that today.
handled that. I saw.
I checked with Linda up front, and the young lady was a tenant. It wasn't listed in her name. And she had made that post and said that Thursday was the second day. There was no appointment scheduled on Thursday. So I did advise the lady to contact the water department and actually get it scheduled. And she did, and she's ready to rock.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just on July 30th, the mayor and I went up to Cleveland and we had our bond sale for the $6 million for the municipal bonds. We got 9 different bids. We obviously went with the best buyer, and those funds are scheduled to be wired in the morning. And so we'll be signing the fiscal officer certificate for that, and then our Kavanaugh can begin mobilizing and doing construction. So things are moving along.
Very good. All right.
I have one real quick. I just wanted to make council aware, talking about the branding tonight, one of the things that in IT that's always on the top of the block is IT security. With our website, we are a .com. I would like to get us switched over to a .gov domain. There's a bunch of security stuff that's kind of built into that, and there's some grants that are available as well that will actually pay for the new domain. So I just wanted to let council know that we are looking to switch over all 3 of our domains, cityofstreetsboro.com, streetsboropolice.com, and streetsborofire.com, all to .gov domains.
Very good.
So we'll all need new business cards.
It's part of the branding.
All right. No other department heads. Moving on. Introduction of legislation containing statement of emergency. T7639, purchase Jaws of Life extraction equipment. Read by title, please, Caroline.
Did you want to?
Mr. Ring has a.
Yeah, before you read by title, I'll make a motion to suspend the 3 read rules for T7639, T7640, T7641, T7643, T7644, and T7645.
I have a first. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
No.
Or a roll call?
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. That motion passes, and then T7642 will be just up for first reading. I'll move that down to first read. Make that executive decision. All right, T7639, purchase Jaws of Life extraction equipment. Now read by title.
39, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Howell Rescue Systems for a battery-operated Genesis rescue system to replace the fire department's current hydraulic rescue system and declaring an emergency to expedite the purchase of the new rescue system.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel? Yes. Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7639 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-110. T7640, accept ACJS grant for hearing protection. Read by title, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept 30 units of sound gear hearing protection equipment for use by the Streetsboro Police Department to be funded by a grant from the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services and declaring an emergency so that the hearing protection equipment may be used immediately.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a first and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7640 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-111. T7641, purchase modems for police cruiser.
It's an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with Access Wireless Data Solutions LLC for 11 Cradlepoint 5G modems and related equipment for use by the police department in cruisers in an amount not to exceed $22,492.36 and declaring an emergency so the equipment can be immediately obtained.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a first and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7641 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-112. T7642 is being moved to items under first read. T7643, allow beer in the park for Streetsboro Brew and Barbecue Bash. Read by title, please.
Ordinance allowing beer to be sold, served, dispensed, and consumed at a one-day beer and barbecue bash festival to be held at Streetsboro City Park on August 17, 2024, and declaring an emergency so that the necessary permits can be obtained.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7643 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-113. 113. T7644, amend ordinance number 2024-83 for Napa purchases.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2024-83 to replace JLP Parts Inc. with Genuine Parts Company, which has purchased JLP stores in Akron, Streetsboro, and Kent, and declaring an emergency in order to expedite purchases with the new vendor.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7644 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-114. 114. T7645, authorized computer purchases from Newegg and CDW Government. Read by title, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into contracts without competitive bidding with Newegg and CDW Government for the purchase of information technology parts, supplies, and services for the city's IT network and declaring an emergency because it's immediately necessary to purchase IT parts and supplies.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel? Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7645 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-115. 115. Items up for first reading, T7642, adopt new city logo and guidelines. For first read, clerk read by title, please.
A resolution approving and adopting the City of Streetsboro logo design and declaring an emergency because it's immediately necessary to use the new logo.
Next item is item 8, items for second reading. There are none.
Skip the other first reading.
What's that? Oh, there's a second one? I thought we just did
You
7.
just did 7642.
Oh, sorry.
Which one? What's the other one we moved?
We didn't.
We're good? Oh, you're entitled. You got a busy schedule there. Not a problem. Okay, items for third reading. Second, there are none. Items for third reading, T7631, amend code section 1165, site development regulations. Read by title, please.
An ordinance amending Chapter 1165 of Title 5, Part 11, Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances to guarantee the performance of a builder through the requirement of a surety bond.
Motion to adopt.
We have a first and a second to adopt the legislation. Having 3 reads already being done, roll call, please.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yeah.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner. Yes. Mr. Mishniak.
Yes, T7631 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-116. Mr. Hannan.
I had a note that we moved the solar to second reading. I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss that.
We did miss that. You are correct, and we did move that to second
Because
reading.
you said we were discussing whether we had
You're
to go
right.
first or second. And you said we could go to second because it's under the same key number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you, and you made a motion to send it for second reading?
Yeah, we did.
All right, we'll give Caroline a moment to locate that.
Oh, no. What'd you say?
The-
Oh, electric generator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Temporary 7630.
Just for second read. Oh, that's right, we did the motion to do a couple of the additional language changes. And then we sent it to regular council for second.
Okay. So this is.
And I think we amended it.
It's amended.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's P7630A.
Weird now.
Temporary moratorium on solar electric generation facilities.
Okay, so this is an ordinance placing a temporary moratorium on the issuance of planning, zoning, and building permits, approvals, and certificates related to solar electric generation facilities. Yes.
Thank you. All right, I'll need a motion to refer the amending code regarding short-term residential rentals to Planning Commission for report and recommendation.
So move.
Second.
First and a second. Is this recall, can we do an all in favor here?
I believe we
Just the
can.
motion.
Just a motion to send it to them. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, mayor's report beyond the appointments. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mishniak. Hope to see you all Saturday, noon to 6. I have to pat on the back to Mike Custos and the rest of the folks at Parks and Rec for the effort that they have put into planning this. It is going to be a good event. I pray that the weather holds out and a date for it. Lots of stuff for the parents and actually for the kids to do too. So I hope to see you all there. Save the date, September 17th at 6 p.m. We will have the official groundbreaking ceremony for City Hall. And all are invited. And that's all I have.
Tuesday.
6 p.m.
Yeah, we were gonna do it on the second Monday, but for some reason that was,
Can we just hold a city council meeting there?
Everything's during your golf league.
It would not be scheduled on a Wednesday.
Yeah, mine's on Tuesday.
We didn't know that.
You all finished, Mr. Mayor?
That's it.
You're good? All right, thank you. I have no comments tonight. I'm going to move on to council members' comments and start on the left with Ms. Glenn.
No comments tonight.
Ms. Wagner.
No comments.
Mr. Hannan.
I'll just say this is our last meeting before school starts, so every year we always kind of remind people just to, that the buses are going to be out again, and to be on the lookout for those.
When is the first date?
22nd.
22nd. Lisa.
Just a thank you to the police and fire departments for responding to the report the other night of the explosion. I think it's too bad folks didn't call in from the earlier explosions, but out in the country, we're used to hearing things boom. You don't really think anything of it, but the other night was pretty significant. It was a percussive feeling and house shaking among several residents. I actually slept through it. My husband felt it, though. I said in the morning, did you feel that last night at 11? He said, yeah, I did. So
So when people started, inquiring about it, it was a little worrisome, but we know you guys are on the job and we appreciate all your support. So thank you.
Tony?
Route 43 is looking amazing. So thanks, Mr. Checkeye. 43 is looking good. So
Take all the credit for it.
I know. Hey, you're the city engineer, so you got to get some credit. And I'll see everyone at the bash. Don't be getting too crazy over there, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Mr. Ring?
Thank you, Mr. Mishniak. I won't be able to be at the bash. I had already have a event for the American Legion.
Just bring the brothers up.
And then I noticed on the Board of Controls that father-daughter dance we're renting out. We can't use our beautiful new building. It's just too small. There's too many people register for that. I figured that was the case. Yeah, I figured that was the case.
Up again?
Yeah, it's a shame we can't use our new.
We left room to add on them.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Announcements. There will be a finance committee, a regular council meeting on Monday, August 26, 2024, starting at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. I'll need a motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Mayor? Thank you, everybody.
Mayor, I need you and the law director to sign legislation tonight, because I'm not here tomorrow, so I need to get it done before we leave tonight. So don't go away.
Second job of the night.